10 minutes before 10 o'clock. Nice looking day. Actually, it's a little overcast, isn't it?
Yeah, but it still is pretty.
I don't think we have any mention of rain, though, right? It's just like 10%. That's just the weatherman being careful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On the phone is David Wright. David is a United States Army veteran. He's a police officer. He's a master instructor in police defensive tactics. He's the owner and founder of Wright's Gym and Krav Maga Pittsburgh. We'll find out what that is in just a second. He's going to give us some self-defense tactics to be prepared for any situation. And there were two stories in the news in New York that kind of bothered me. I keep up with New York news because that's where I'm from. That's where my father was a policeman, by the way. And one of them was, there was a lady, like 53 years old. Remember the story, Robin? She was like, somebody pushed her and stabbed her with an ice pick.
Yeah,
holy
that was
cow.
horrible.
Just walking through the subway or something. And then another guy, also in the subway, also up in age. Oh, and she had some like racial nasty things said to her. She was a black woman. And the guy looked like he might have been Puerto Rican or something. He was just pushed onto the tracks, and then fortunately some people were able to pull him out. How horrible.
It is very
our people,
horrible.
right? Anything we can do to protect ourselves is always good stuff. David, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being on the air with us today. Good morning, David.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
Where are you now? Are you in Pittsburgh?
I'm actually in New York.
You are? Okay. Did you hear those two stories we just talked about?
No, unfortunately, it's not surprising. It's a violent world.
Yeah,
it's getting more violent.
It's crazy. I know. I'm from there, and every time somebody says, I don't know if I'm going to go, they're too scary, I said, no, it's a nice city. And then you hear stuff like this, you go, well, maybe. I don't know. What is Krav? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, for example, just in my hometown of Pittsburgh, violence can happen anywhere. 2 weeks ago, we had a mass killing inside a synagogue. It's just
that's
tragic,
right.
But it's becoming more and more common.
I know.
It's unfortunate.
I know, it is crazy. And we had here in our town, in Ocala, Florida, we had the superintendent of schools order that all the classroom doors should be locked after that incident in Parkland. And,
yes.
and the good news is there was a kid who went into the school with a shotgun.
Here in our community.
Right. And shot the door because it was locked. And fortunately, the door was strong enough that it didn't do a thing put a mark in the door, but it didn't open it.
Sure.
And, he obviously saw movies and felt like that's how you open a door, is to shoot the lock. But he's in jail and nobody got hurt. So that's
strong door. That's kind of what we want to be. We want to be a strong door when it comes to self-defense. Make you a strong door. So
I realize we just have a short interview, but can I ask you, what is Krav Maga Pittsburgh? What is that?
So Krav Maga is Hebrew. It stands for contact combat. And it was developed in Israel, and it's a self-defense system. We teach it to police officers across the world. It's taught in the military, but we also teach it to civilians. It's probably the best self-defense program that there is because it's all-encompassing. It's weapon defense, it's ground defense, it's standing defense. It's all-encompassing. It really teaches somebody to be aware and learn how to defend themselves if violence does come their way.
Are you doing a radio tour so that the listeners here in Ocala will be able to benefit from some of your expertise?
There are Krav Maga centers down in Orlando, so I would encourage any of your listeners to reach out to the Krav Maga centers out there.
Okay. So do you have a book or a video we can go to see, or a website? I
do have a website. It's wrightsgym.com. I'm based out of Pittsburgh. I do a lot of seminar-based training also. So, you can go there and get some information. There's also, contact local law enforcement. If you're looking for programs in and around your area, I would encourage you to go to your local law enforcement. If you have a daughter in college, for example, I love the idea of just contacting the campus police, find out about the criminal stats going on, because colleges, they're a cesspool for violence or crime.
I know.
And but most campuses are going to have programs. So I'd want, daughters to get into self-defense program because, the frequency of sex assault is higher in college than anywhere else.
Are there any self-defense tools that a person can carry on their person without being bulky and cumbersome?
Yeah, there are some tools out there. There's pepper spray. One of the best tools that I see coming out is it's called the Taser Pulse Plus. When you think taser, you think law enforcement, but there's a civilian side to tasers, and it operates much like the law enforcement taser. And there's actually another piece to it, too, the Taser Pulse. You can use it as a self-defense tool. It's small, easy to conceal, easy to carry, but also, it's very effective. It has the same technology as the police taser, and here's the cool thing about it. If you have to use it, you pull the trigger, the new Taser Pulse Plus is actually going to contact local law enforcement, and they're going to respond. You're contacting 911. So the moment I have to use this, you don't have to call. They're coming. The cavalry's coming to help you.
So even if you miss, they'll be called.
Yeah, you pull the trigger.
Is it a one-time use and that's it?
Well, in terms of probes going downrange, it's a one-time use, but now I can also use it in what we call drive stun mode. So it's going to come in. It's going to, it's going to be very effective. There's three ways in which I can see it working. One, I just pull it out and I tell you my body language, and the taser's out. It's brandished, and I'm saying, "Hey, get away, get back." It has a laser on it. They know you mean business. Two, if you come at me, I can use it as a distance. And three, if you get too close, I can use it in drive stun mode and, try to really affect the body in that way, too. So,
Wow.
How do you get people to pay attention to their surroundings? We work in a mall here, and there are so many women, especially, and young women, that are talking on their cell phones while they're walking back and forth to, like, the food court entrance door, and they're not paying attention at all.
Yes. Well, one, you have to have a plan, and two, you really have to pay attention. You have to be aware. I use the term, be a police officer on patrol. When a police officer's out and about, they're not in a paranoid state, but you have to be aware. Hey, we can't lose fact of this. Violence is everywhere, and it can happen in a small town. It can happen in a big town.
Right.
You mentioned up in New York, Pittsburgh. It could be anywhere, and the best way to make yourself bulletproof is to have your head on a swivel, pay attention. This is the holiday season. Don't carry those big packages. Use your carts. Get help. You buy a bunch of stuff, have an employee come out with you. Shop in groups. So, I implore people to please pay attention. Get your head out of your phone.
Yeah. We see the local, like Robin said, we're in a mall, and once in a while, I don't see too many ladies doing this, but you'll see one of the security guards escorting a woman to her car. Mm-hmm. And I always think do that as much as you can. I'm sure these guys would love to do that here at the mall. So in addition to that, is it worth the time and effort to develop some kind of martial arts skills?
Yes, and I would say self-defense over martial arts because gross motor skills. And here's the benefits to a self-defense program. One, there's a physical side of it. You're going to get into the gym, into your studio, and you're going to burn calories. You're going to make yourself healthier, more fit, which generally relates to a longer, better quality of life. So look at the fitness side of it. Secondly, you're learning valuable self-defense tools so that if you would have to defend yourself, hey, you're empowered. You know that your body is a weapon, and you also know that there are places that you can strike that are going to be affected. So it's compounded the benefits to a self-defense program. A lot of people don't go into a gym because they get bored. You will not get bored hitting, punching, and learning a valuable self-defense. So there's so many benefits to it.
I wanted to hear from you regarding the circumstance, which God forbid anybody's ever in this circumstance, but it's the synagogue up in your town that was shot up. I mean, should in a group when that's starting to happen, could we minimize it if we said, you know what, I don't care if he shoots me, but this guy's going down? Like if we all jumped on him, some of us would get shot, but at least he'd be done.
Well, I can't say one size fits all because it doesn't. You have to get in there. One of the biggest things to help prevent mass shootings or even a mugging is preventive measures in place. I can tell you that, a mass killing, they look for soft targets. These evil people, they are going to go where they think it's a soft target. A mall, a church, a synagogue, a movie theater.
Yeah.
And so places like that, I encourage them to have a plan in place. So what happens if some sort of evil comes into the mall where you're at? You have to have a plan in place.
Thank you, David, for giving us this information. I wasn't even looking at the clock, and I know you probably have other interviews. Give us a website so we can, I know you did earlier, but just tell us again, please.
Sure. Wright's Gym, www.wrightsgym.com. Also, other agencies, the CDC, the Department of Justice, and again, I encourage you to touch base with your local law enforcement.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service. And my dad used to say that being a police officer is a thankless job, but we want you to know that we do thank you for what you've done. Thank you, David.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your one-minute news brief. Senator Bill Nelson conceded his re-election bid to Republican Rick Scott yesterday after a recount left Nelson thousands of votes short of the outgoing governor. In the Florida governor's race, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum conceded to DeSantis on Saturday. Brenda Snipes